I've done a wee bit of research.
All right, okay, good.
I thought, right, I'll try and refamiliarise myself. When I was writing my list of like who I'd like to speak to, I thought it'd be really nice to speak to someone like Jennie. Firstly, because it's like the little exposure I have of your work, sort of degree show onwards. Like there's that piece that's in Allen and Colette's, I think, with the sort of stool step.
Oh
thing,
yeah,
lovely drawing. And the little I'd seen of like earlier stuff, it's in such stark contrast to like more recent stuff for the last couple of years. And then when I read your Bothy article thing, you sort of acknowledged that, and I thought it was really interesting, like post parent and pre parent, and so I like. Do you like? Is that must be a massive thing? Yeah,
there's a definite line actually, and I kind of think of it. It's funny because there's the work that, there's a piece that still kind of adheres to this way of working that I was working pre-kids that I made post-Rudy.
Okay. But
other than that, I kind of... there was a definitive line, and it was having children, definitely.
Was it really?
Yeah. And also maybe being out of college and becoming more confident in terms of knowing more about art and understanding what I had learned at art college was really rooted in what I think was a kind of modernist idea. And obviously I kind of saw it as being I don't know where it came from, but this underlying thing that you had to really focus on one way of producing work, and that would be it, and you'd explore it, and you couldn't move away from it. No way. So I had like a break between third and fourth year because I was still painting. I was in the painting school at Edinburgh. I was painting portraits of people, and I was quite good at it, so that's why I was doing it. And then in third year I was like, I could only contextualise it with what they were giving me, which was basically post-impressionism. So I was like, I don't understand why I would be a woman or a young female artist in the 90s making work connected to predominantly male artists of the early part. So I had a bit of a meltdown and took a year off, and I went to Italy. That was the first time I went to Italy. And I came back and I didn't paint, and I just started making this very pared down kind of architectural work, which I wasn't contextualising with anyone. I was aware of minimalism and all the rest of it. I was really thinking about what I wanted to say or communicate, and that if that's come up again in work about what I'm trying to communicate using words and feeling. So I don't know. I still don't know what that was, but it was really focused on architecture and architectural space, and I was reading a lot around theory about that. But again, it kind of adhered to this look and this very certain way of making work, and I felt...
Did you feel like because like there's times where I, up until recently really, like I've felt quite locked in. There's been days or periods where I've like, I'd actually like this idea I've had, which feels kind of separate, but I really want to make a video, I really want to do it. I'm like, it would be such a sort of aesthetical like veer off from what I'm doing. I'm like, how does it? So I've always kind of felt, like I say, until recently, I'm like, it needs to still lead back into this somehow, otherwise people won't take it seriously. They'll just think I've had a mad half hour.
Well, I think I felt like I'd backed myself into a corner again, and really enjoyed the making process, but didn't really know what I was trying to say with the work. Like, it got to a point where I've always struggled with that, and I think we've spoken about before, where theory influences my work, or where I start to illustrate theory, and like I think I was probably illustrating a lot of maybe misunderstandings of theory, and I like kind of illustrating it quite badly, I suppose. And then I just thought, there was definite turning point. There's been a couple of turning points. One of them was having Rudy, and I just thought, well, I want to be an artist still, because before Rudy I thought I had this kind of idea, which was somehow taught to me, that if you're a woman you can't have kids and be an artist, or you can but you'll be a rubbish artist. But I don't think I was being a particularly good artist at that point anyway. This idea that I was giving up this amazing career.
You're like, I'm making gold here, and this thing's came along, and I'm going to have to change it.
So I was like, but then I suppose that would also coincide with my relationship with Chris, because his work is like takes lots of risks, and so that is ultimately, that's definitely influenced.
And is that something? Have you found him change as an artist since Rudy?
We both have.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think the only exposure I have of Chris as an artist, I feel like it's predominantly post Rudy PR. So has he had a sort of similar journey in some respects?
So, but he was much more maybe flamboyant with his work than I was.
Right. Okay.
And he was probably much more comfortable making work in a way that he didn't really care about what people thought. And I think that probably links back to my time at college. I was really worried about what people thought of what I was making. So if I hit onto something that I thought was going to be accepted by the tutors, then I would just... Yeah,
it's horrible. It's really depressing to think, isn't it? But
it kind of connects to what we were talking about before, about the influence of the art college tutor. Buzz around him when he finished his masters. So I went in and I was like, first of all, the room was locked, and I was like, this is a pain. But it turned out it was locked because Chris's work had a knife that was hung down in the art college. We're like, we can't have that.
Health and safety.
So then I did go back and see it, and I thought, this is really interesting work. And then I did a bit of writing actually for the sculpture workshop, and he did the drawings.
Oh, okay. What age were you roughly at this? Or what age were you
there's quite a big age difference between me and Chris. So he's 8 years younger than me. Okay. So he was graduating when I was 31. Right. So he was like 24. So when we got together, we didn't know each other's age, and then afterwards I was like, how old are you, you know? And he was like, I'm this age, and I was like, I said I'm this age, and he was like, I thought you were younger, and I said, and I thought you were older. So because there's this taboo still surrounding that kind of shit, that like age difference from a woman and a man, like if a man's younger, whereas the other way around it's all right. But that was kind of an issue. So we met 10 years ago exactly at the other night, because Alan introduced us at the HND opening at the Sculpture Workshop.
Excellent. I never knew that. That's really cool.
But so this was after I'd seen his work and I knew who he was. But so his work has changed, and I've definitely been maybe freed up from having the kids and also just watching him make work in a way that is...
And presumably as well, even if like you hadn't had kids, just getting older, right? Just having more experiences in the world, and just being a more rounded sort of human.
I think that's the other thing I would say is definitely when I turned 40, it was a really important moment, and I just suddenly felt confidence like I've never felt before.
Really? That's amazing. That's so exciting.
It was really exciting, and it was really felt great, and I still feel it, and I don't... And I make work and I show work, and I don't mind if people don't like it. Yeah. You know, I don't want to hear if they don't like it, but...
Well, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And it's not going to stop you still doing it.
Yeah.
I was really quite surprised in a good way. Like when I went on the Wakaka blog and through the Bothy and then your website, like, you've been really prolific and really busy over the last couple of years, and also really, really, really varied. Like, it's not like that was really exciting. It's not like
that's nice to hear.
Here's 5 pages worth of drawings, and they're all really good, but they're all sort of the same kind of drawing. Like it's not that at all. There's the kitchen lectures and the Bothy project, and
that's really interesting. Actually, just what you said there, because maybe that connects back to my work. Like, I'm going to just call it the pre-work, because I don't know. But maybe I was really bored as well. Yeah. You know?
And that's the complete polar opposite of like it's not someone who's making work who's feeling really like inside themselves. It's total risk, and it's great. It's amazing. It's really exciting. Even when you take all those other things out, like the lectures and the Bothy residency and all that sort of stuff, even just the actual work that's there, it's like the drawings and the sculptures and the shark heads and stuff are all, they're all totally different from each other. It's really exciting.
Do you know, I think that was a conscious thing as well. Was it? I think that, I really love Martin Kippenberger, and I'd seen he's a name dropped, like but I can't help it. Like, I really want to say somebody else, but definitely seen his work, and that would be about 10 years ago. Actually, there was a big show in London. And I just thought, wait a minute, this guy's doing whatever he wants and feels like. And he's making posters, and he's making sculptures, and he's utilising found objects, and he's making drawings, and he's having a ball. And I just thought, I kind of want to do all these things, and do all these things, but have separated them out into the not work and the work.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So it's always happened. Like, I've always had... I don't know if there's any evidence of this anywhere, but I've always made cartoons, for example.
Right.
So, but I've never published them, and I've started to now kind of collate them.
Okay, I was going to say that was one of the things that I noticed in the homeworks drawings on your website. Is like they are quite sort of illustration-y, or like, and they're lovely. They're amazing. They were really confident. But yeah, sort of. Sorry.
Yeah, no. There's this like character called like. I'm aware that when I talk about this, and when I spoke to students about work last year, I only told the second year HNDs this because it might seem like I'm a bit mad. But there's a character called Neon Bandit who I've drawn for years, and he originally came about because I was really annoyed at crap neon art. So he's definitely a he, but he wears a balaclava, which was like a kind of obtuse reference to Subcomandante Marcos. Do you know
I've not. No.
He's like I think I'm a really obsessive fan of people, so I find out about people and I almost want to embody them and be them. But he, wait till you hear this though, he led the Zapatistas to freedom in Mexico. So like, you know what I mean? Like it's like what we spoke about before when I really want to be black in 1970s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's all here. Oh yeah.
So like I got obsessed by him, and this guy is he doesn't have warfare, so he doesn't have guns. Okay. He wears a balaclava and smokes a pipe, and he writes poetry. But there's this image of him leading the Zapatistas to Mexico City on horseback with a kind of peaceful velvet revolution. Nice. So I became obsessed by him, and I've read all his readings, and I was like, I might go to Mexico. And then I was like, well, of course I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stay here. And so that's a bit where Neon Bandit came from as well. But he's like a kind of angsty critique stroke philosopher, like really rubbish philosopher, which is where a lot of my kind of thoughts about the world go.
That's fantastic. Don't you ever do anything with them?
Yeah. Well, Chris keeps saying we need to publish it. Yeah, we need to publish it. And I'm like, yeah, we do. So I think he's been in a couple of, like we did this zine called Suck, which Anna Orton was quite. So. It was Anna Orton, Katie Orton, Casey, Guy Derek Sutherland, and Chris. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of Neon Bandits in there, but I've not done anything. Actually, like, you know Kieran Milne?
Yes.
He went to the Bothy the week after me.
I noticed when I was on the website, I noticed that his name was on the list with him and Polly.
So I did he'd like commented on something, and so I did a Neon Bandit drawing when I was there. Chris came up to pick us up and said Kieran Milne's coming next, because we didn't have any access to the outside world. Right. So I left a drawing and a story about the Bithynian, which was that creature that we invented. I wanted to ask you about that, yeah. And apparently we really freaked him out. He couldn't work out who'd written it, and it was so too cute. Like, it was really personal. And then he worked it out on the last day, looking in the visitor's book, and saw my name, and I was like, all right, good.
you really affected his week experience when the Bithynian was going to show up. Yeah. That's fantastic. It's good that you mentioned that, because I wanted to ask you, like, one of the things that I like most about sort of post work. Mm-hmm.
That makes me sound really grand.
That's great. I love doing stuff like that. I love assigning things, terms like that. But what I've always been really drawn to and excited by, but never really, like what we were talking about, never really been able to find a way to be like, unless I can filter this into the work that I always normally make, then I'm not allowed to use it. Yeah. Is one of the things about sort of folklore almost, and like imagination, effectively, but like that feels like that's one of the things that, like, it'd be nice to ask you about in terms of like having kids. It's like, because that's just all they are, right? Yeah. Like, through certain ages, but it's like, I've made up this character and he's real now. No, I've not. Yeah. I'm like, this is where my ideas come from, and I'm actually just nicking everything from my kids. So what about them? No, but like that must be like, I've read some stuff, and like you'll see in like reading an interview with an artist or an illustrator or something, and they talk about like. Like suddenly having kids made me remember the things that I like to do as a kid, or like that, just like that crazy, amazing confidence of just being like, this is my imaginary friend, and he's this whole story, and or like I'm drawing this new, like with Rudy's drawings that were in the studio when we were there, like it's a shark and a space war and stuff like that, and it's just like it's so you don't have it as an adult anywhere near enough, but this so just like. I've thought about it, and that just makes it as valid as absolutely anything else. Yeah. So, like, it's this thing, and I can commit myself to it, and it's important because I've thought about it. Yeah. And that comes across, I think, in a lot of the work.
Yeah, so that work was definitely that we were reading these folk tales from Scotland.
Right, okay.
They're called Fireside Tales by Duncan. Oh, I can't remember, but they're like folk tales that have been gathered.
Right.
So there's a bit that we write about with like the Bithynian riding on chickens.
Yes.
That's
instead of horses
directly lifted.
Is it really?
From a tale about a boy who turns into a hedgehog. So there was all these, or no, was he a hedgehog boy to begin with? I can't remember, but all these references, we were just we kind of took a couple of them, and then the kids got really into it and just wanted to. So we made some documentary footage actually.
Oh, really?
So Rudy was like the presenter talking about like where it had last been seen, and then we've kind of rejected that just now. We might come back.
Yeah, because it said on the website that there's like more to follow, more to come.
I quite often do that, and I think that's a caveat for me. So it's like I'm not finished this, but I might leave it here.
It might be fine, but if I want to come back to it, I've made it. I'm allowed to. No, I like that. I love this. Yeah, of course, of course.
Fancy.
I love the idea of this Sasquatch and Bithynian lurching through, keeping the bothy safe almost. Yeah,
well, we were also thinking about like land holding in Scotland and post-referendum, like who owns Scotland. Like, the kids weren't thinking about that. I was trying to elbow that, push that.
Is that something that sort of? I hesitate to say your politics, but politics, is that something that because I always worry, I'm always really scared to sort of, even if I'm drawing a picture or something and it is sort of directly inspired in some way by sort of my reaction to this to this politics or whatever, but I'm always really scared to either admit that or sort of acknowledge that in the work, because I'm sort of scared of my own lack of knowledge or my own unawareness. So I'm like, I can't say it's about the Tories, because if someone asks me, I don't have an answer.
Totally, I totally know what you mean, and that's definitely a confidence thing, isn't it? Because it's I find it really hard to take a standpoint. Yeah. Like, even though I feel very passionately about certain things. And like the banner works. That's why I was asking. Because I'm unsure about those as work. Like, I feel like there's lots about them that I think work, but there's like, well, you could say that about anything, that there's failings in it, right? But because those were 3 statements that I'd taken, and this is another thing, because this information really isn't anywhere except maybe on my blog, which I don't I will have any reference to on my website. But I was thinking about this kind of pre-Thatcher Reagan era in the late 80s, where there was like a kind of feeling of positivity. So there was 2 phrases. One of them was, I've forgotten the phrases now. That's good, isn't it?
From the banners?
Yeah.
I can tee them up if you like.
Yeah. I should know, shouldn't I? One of them was "Tomorrow is mine."
Right, yeah. One of them was something akin to like, we know we can. Oh no, is that separate?
Oh, yeah, we can because we know we can.
Yeah, we know something went wrong.
Yeah, and sorry, something went wrong. So the third phrase, sorry, something went wrong, is like that phrase that comes up when your computer crashes.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And the other 2 phrases, I ended up mixing them all up because I did have them, and they seemed very preachy, and I thought I can't. Yeah, so actually, we can is mine. Tomorrow, sorry, and we know because we know something. We can because we know something went wrong. Yeah, so I mixed them all up. But the phrase was, we can because we know we can, which was like a bit of graffiti in a school in New York in maybe actually the 70s, late 81, round about that time. Right. So this place that everyone had been given up on, and then this teacher came in and said, we can do this because we know we can, and like was kind of the importance of education. Yeah, about 1982. And then the other one was from a estate in Manchester on the Hume estate, where there was a club basically in 2 flats knocked together, which was "Tomorrow is mine." And I thought that's on the immediate hearing, that's a nice phrase, but then it is about the singular, and it's not tomorrow's ours.
Also, isn't it? I'm claiming that.
And it's kind of really appropriately pre-Thatcherite. This idea that what you can have. So I really was. And this connects to the plant works and this kind of nostalgia for this period of time. And I was thinking, man, that's affected my whole adult life so far, growing up. And And I wanted to make work about that, but I didn't want to tell people what to think about it. You know, I wanted.
Well, that was one of the things I noticed at the time, and looking back, is like they are, you know, they're almost sort of obviously sort of you know, like union banners, or, you know, like protest banners, but like the language isn't overtly, you know, those banners are always associated with, you know, forceful language for, you know, for good or bad, and they're not that, you know, they're more sort of like ambiguously positive.
Yeah, and that was what I was aiming for. But I also thought that they were quite domestic because I was making, obviously, because I'm making them on this little machine at home, and I realised that I don't know, there's something about almost political art that really pisses me off, and I thought they were almost political before. I mean, of course they're political, but you know what I mean. They're just ineffectual or something. So I think it was really important to kind of move the words around and make them poetic almost.
Yeah, definitely. And with the plants, the other sort of half or the other aspect of that show, like I don't know about all of them, but I remember you telling me that, or you know, like they're sort of taken from like films and stuff, and like pro television and media and stuff. Yeah. Is that another thing that because having spoke to you sort of in passing at times at the college about like Tarkovsky and like your love of like hip hop and other stuff like that, is that something that you only feel more comfortable doing now because it's like merging other interests or you know, folding them in a way that you maybe would have felt unable to do before?
Yeah.
Because I always used to panic. I used to worry about, like, you know, I used to dickishly say, like, you know, I mean, I like football, but I would make art about football. But like, the older I'm getting, or the further away from art college, I suppose, more pointedly, is I'm like, well, if I want to make art about football, then you can. And you know, who am I to judge that? You know. And so in the last sort of 9 months or so, I've been much more comfortable being like, well, I really like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and I think it's really relevant and important for these reasons. So I feel more comfortable folding that in. You know. Do you feel is that something that you've been aware of?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I think so, and I think that, I don't know, maybe that's just with that kind of freeing up that I felt as well, is that I'm just going to respond to this, and afterwards I'll maybe know if this is, maybe this is really important, because the making is so important to me. So sometimes the making happens and then the reflection, but with this work it was actually like a homage to my plant that died.
Right.
And the plant that my mum had given me when I'd left home at 17.
Thing that had been nurtured 18. For years and gone through all these things with you.
Yeah, and that crucial point of time, which is like you kind of identify yourself with certain things like hip hop and then also, but trying to match that up with really loving minimal art. Like,
and it ties in with what you were saying earlier about like feeling like you maybe romanticise things that happened before and sort of project these things onto stuff. Yeah,
I think I'd separated myself out so much. Like being at art college in the early to late 90s and making this type of work, but on the other hand having like this other life that was my social life, which was, and I couldn't, they were two separate things, and actually maybe I had to realise, and maybe that is post-kids, that it had to be one thing. Like, I mean, I think it was probably one thing before, but I just couldn't resolve it. Well, it's confidence as well, isn't it? It's always looking at yourself in the third person, being like, I want to be the kind of person who people think of as, you know, like in hip hop, and he watches those kind of movies, and it's crazy. It's so unhealthy. Because like
down to the art that you make, almost. I'm like, I want people to think I'm like a cool sort of, you know, 21st century masculine art maker. Like, it's so silly. It's crazy.
No, but then you get like a website. Yeah, totally. And it's like, this is what I do.
I know. I suppose.
Bad photos of my work.
No, not at all. But I thought that was really interesting. It's like, and that you've, like, I really liked that. I felt really inspired when you were telling me on the night of, like, you know, this is from this film, or this was not one from E.T. One that he brings back alive.
Yeah, because there's something to do with the living as well. The thing that isn't, it's not an animal and it's not a plant. It's somewhere in between. So there's the
one with the
Keith Haring dancing flower, and then less so the Picasso kind of, these were kind of. The references are all male as well, right? Because it's
intentionally.
There could have been female references, but I really wanted to acknowledge that obviously has an influence on you when you're a woman. And I'm really, as I've got older, I've come to feel more strongly about it. When I was younger, I did hang out with boys despite the fact that I was a girl. You know what I mean? I was much more comfortable with what they were doing. And that was... I'm going to get a bit lost. But when I was looking at my references, they reflect popular culture, which is mainly male-dominated, and the art world obviously is mainly male-dominated. And that sounds really negative, but
no, not
because a lot of these influences are really important to me as well.
Well, that's another thing that's and it's important to you as an individual as opposed to the Jennie Temple that you want people to see. So that's just honesty, right? It's just that's fine. That's great. And the other thing that I noticed, I hadn't really thought about this before, I suppose, as much consciously, but with the shark heads, and with the tank project as well, is that element of, it's maybe just me taking from it something that's not there, but that element of sort of it feels like it's like tapping into that excitement you get when you have an idea for something and then, you know, half an hour or 2 months later it's a thing, and it's hews quite closely to the thought that you had initially, and that level of that buzz you get when you're like, oh, it's real, I've made this thing, and it's went from thought to object.
I get that complete joy when I make things. Like it really excites me, and it really and actually I really like it when people recognise that something's well made, which obviously kind of contradicts a lot of my thoughts about art as well, because it doesn't have to be well made, but and a lot of artists that I admire, it's nothing to do with the process, but with, I think, the time put in, I really... but with the shark costumes, I was really excited about that, because it was just I think Rudy wanted a shark costume, and I was like, I'd quite like one.
Well, the title of it, the naming of it as well, implied to me that thing of, what is the title again? It's shark costumes that we might want to wear in the future.
For the family
to wear. So, and that thing of,
still only got one picture up of it.
It's a nice picture though. It's almost very sort of IKEA framed. It's nice. But that thing of I think the term's present bias, I can never quite remember, but it's that psychological theory that you buy lots of vegetables at the shops, even though you know you don't like lots of vegetables, but you envisage a version of you that's the healthy me in the future is going to be organised, and he's going to love eating vegetables, and he's just going to eat them. I think it's present bias.
Present bias, that's interesting.
And that's a sort of positive spin on that to me almost, and I want to make this joyous thing that we don't need to use just now, but we might want to use them in the future, and they're there ready built just to put on. So I really worry about that, and I struggle with it. It's I'm bad for it now, not with vegetables as such, but making plans for things, and you're I'm going to want to do that. I know I'm not going to want to do that, but I want to do that.
Well, right? I'm really bad at that, because I will make plans for everything, and then I never get my time at my perception of time is awful, so I'll say, I'm going to do everything this week, and I'm like, oh God, I can't. And then
you're just disappointed in yourself that you didn't. But I thought that was. I
like that phrase.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to have to. I'll double check that that's what it's called. But it's definitely present bias. It might be future bias actually. That makes more sense, doesn't it? But that thing of sort of projecting the you that I get up early in the future, and I don't, I don't need to struggle with it. I just get up and I'm productive straight away, and it's not.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it's very, very. It's very hard to change that. There's not much you can do beyond just come to terms with present you. I think.
Because totally.
I see the only way to solve it is to just not do it because you're happy with you. The thing that I wanted to ask you about is, you've maybe already touched upon it, but you said on the Bothy project, the idea of the in between space. Could you elaborate on that a wee bit? I thought I was I was interested in that.
I think those films illustrate it actually on Paul's back, because they're just those kind of fleeting moments. And I read something really recently, this week, and it connected that to motherhood actually, and or parenthood. They were talking about motherhood, but you could say parenthood. Yeah. When you're going through kind of a practicality. And I think I recognise it from doing mundane work as well. Okay. Where you start to notice the kind of... I can't remember what your question was, Neil. Oh, yeah, the in-between space. Yeah, sorry. That's how present I am. Right? And you notice, things in those... That's what I've come to call the in-between space. When doing other work.
Right.
And
so that, like, when you're out doing something, or you're on the bus and you're like, oh, I want to be this or do this. Or...
or I'll see something and I'll make a piece of work there and then in the in-between space.
Right.
But also that's where the homeworks fit in as well, because the homework is definitely the in-between space, but connected to the kids. But Rudy in particular, when he was doing his homework, I would sit and do something with him. Because
you need to be there with him, but you don't want to be over him doing it for him.
Yeah, but the in-between space is like between work, between paid work, between homework, and between...
That actually makes up quite a lot of time, right, in any given day.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's really sort of... I see that as being really sort of healthy, almost, like, in being that direct of, like... Because how often do you... I was saying to someone the other day, like, maybe it's... I think partially it's through Alan. When I was a student, like, he always used to impart, like, you know, question what you're doing and know why you're doing it and all that, so that no one can ever ask you a question and open a night where you're you're totally dumbstruck and you don't know, like, you know, hone this thing into this little, you know, hard diamond that's strong and you can fight for it. But I've noticed you might not even remember saying that, but I've noticed, like, what I've done is, like, quite often, like, I'm sure it's quite a common problem for most creative people, but I think myself out of making something before, you know, have an idea that I'm quite happy with, or I'm sitting watching the TV or on the bus and I'm like, I'd like to do that, and then 5 minutes later I'm like, already thought myself out of doing it because I couldn't do it the way I wanted to or whatever. But
because I think it's the antithesis of that for me, actually, and it's like, it would have been like that, but quite often I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah.
See, I'm interrupting myself, and this thing comes back to communication again as well, so I don't know if I'm trying to say anything particular, you know, I don't... Which is
also fine, you know, like that's also...
kind of interesting talking about it with the work, the banner works, where I kind of was trying to say something, or I was...
Yeah.
Whereas... the films are really just things that I find interesting and I see, and I think they're beautiful, and they're moments of, like, being in the present, and that's it, you know. And they're like, I wanted to use words,
and it's just as valid, and it's just as important.
Yeah, because I think with me, definitely this idea of having to know what I'm doing, and I would definitely talk myself out doing stuff. Yeah, I would make the work in my head, and then it would be gone.
But my problem with that is, like, the residual positivity of the idea still swims about. So I feel like sometimes end up with loads of kind of panic because I'm like you know, my creative direction's a total mess because it's not a direction, it's just all this.
But maybe it comes out
flops and jets. Maybe it does,
like a year later, or
maybe sort of subconsciously it finds its way into something. Yeah, that's true. I find that with titles quite a lot. Like I used to have lists and lists of, like, it's probably really unhealthy, but, like, nice titles for work that I could maybe drop in at some point, and I'm like, not have a title for something. And
that's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's like a piece of work in itself.
I think it probably is. Actually, it probably definitely is. It was Graham Fagan who's doing the Biennale this year. Actually, he was the main guy I used to always seek out.
Right.
And I loved him a lot. He was really, I found him really helpful. And we had this big long conversation one day about, I'm like, I used to struggle with, I was trying to draw all these separate buildings, but, like, imagine them all living in the same space, and how do I name that? And I don't know what I want to name all these things, and I don't know what to call it, and should I give the town a name? Should be this thing? And he was like, maybe you should just write down, if you see something in a book and you like the way it sounds, maybe just write it down, and then then you can think about that as you're making it, and that might affect it. And I probably just took the most simplified version of what he'd said, and I've just got lists of, like, cool emo sounding melodramatic phrases. But he was really helpful in that he didn't really say that much quite often, you know. But I found him really helpful, and I remember he used to sort of. I'd be sitting there and I'd be talking about something. He's like, "Oh, there's a film in the library that you should take out that's really good. It's really, really relevant to what you're talking about." And he would give me the title, and I'd go away and I took it home, and it was his. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me it was yours? Like, that's really strange. I'm like,
that's odd,
you can let me know. Like, I'm not going to not take it out.
But then what makes, like, for me, that would be like setting up an awkward conversation for the future.
Then it was just hanging there forever. And after that, I'm like, that's weird that
your film was amazing.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to acknowledge that he sort of snuck it under the radar and made me watch it. It was very strange.
That's really funny.
But yeah, he's someone who's maybe not. I wouldn't have naturally thought about him in relation to the banner works, or whatever. But he's someone who uses like I think his Biennale work is in the same vein as the show. I think we went through SHN when I was on Public Art to Glasgow, and he had this big show about sort of Robert Burns and the slave trades almost, and all the people that came over on these ships. And
where was that?
It was, I can't remember what gallery in Glasgow, but it was in Glasgow. And he's someone who uses sort of like ambiguous text, and it could be either sinister or positive, and it's work that I was maybe too young for at the time, actually, but in hindsight, like, I've got quite a lot out of that. I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, that's powerful. Interesting, because I don't know much of his work, actually.
No, well, he's someone that seems to not have like an obvious pigeonholed. He's a drawer, or he's a sculptor, or he's a performer. Like, seems to be all over the shop. Yeah. It's lovely. Like, and that's the thing that's the end goal, right? Like, because it's quite a long process, and I'm still struggling with it. But that thing of like, I still panic at 1 a.m. in my bed, and I'm like, oh no, I'm just drawing pictures at home, and it's not, So what difference is like? Because I really panicked when I started at Rubaba, and I was doing these drawings, and God knows why, but I'd take a picture and put it on Instagram. And I don't know why I never used to. I used to hate people that did. Not hate people. I used to really bug me when people would do that. I'm like,
I love seeing the work though. That's a great. I loved seeing your drawings on Instagram. I was just like, oh, they're amazing.
I think because I hadn't done anything in so long, I was trying to. I was like, right, I'm just going to be completely not. I'm going to go in with no baggage, and I'm going to go in with none of this. So that was partly tied into that. I was like, oh, like me a year ago would never have put something on Instagram, so I'm going to do it. And I think I tagged it studio art or something, and then I hit the tag after I'd done it, and it was just my picture, and amongst like endless pictures of like,
it's really interesting,
like a kid that had drawn Batman, or like someone that had traced a Pokemon, and I'm like, I got really annoyed and I got really frustrated, and then I got annoyed at myself for being like, who am I to judge? Like, so it's that panic of like, oh, I'm not real, or
that's but how that influence where your work is seen and in what context and how it impacts on your view of the work is really important. Yeah,
and I almost felt like I'm like, oh, I've either A, devalued it, or B, it's lost all essence of what it was now, because I've just given it up for public consumption in a really, really, really public forum where it can stand next to a picture of shoes that I've got, or it really undercuts any sort of importance.
I think what you're talking about, like, I think that's what I've become more interested in over the years in relation to my own work, is the kind of connecting these disparate parts that are really, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Apart from with photography, like, I still don't know what that is that I do, because I take loads of photographs.
Right.
And I've always taken loads of photographs, and I wanted to be a photographer, or I thought I wanted to be a photographer. So I've got like these photographs that I love, but I don't love. I enjoy doing, and I think of them as a different type of work, but I don't know.
Do you think any of that? Like, I sometimes wonder if, like, being on Tumblr and having an Instagram and to an extent even a Facebook and stuff, but like Twitter is like, I often worry that I'm like splitting myself up too much almost, or like, and like I don't know, just like, I can't verbalise it really, but...
Or maybe it doesn't have to be anything, and it's just you take
exactly.
photos.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the thing with me, it's like... and then I'm like adhering to this idea that I'm a genius or something. Like, the world
people
must
need to
have
see
my
this.
Photographs. I don't need them.
But no, I suppose it's good in that there's now a place where they live, and they're sort of in this little sort of fenced off...
Yeah. I love the virtual world for that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we can still make these images, but you don't have to print them out, and they don't occupy like a kind of presence, a kind of physical presence.
I suppose it creates an environment where you don't need to. It's immediate. It's the in between stuff. And but it's been given its own platform, as opposed to you feeling like, because then you're just stressed out that you've got 5,000 pictures on the memory card in your camera, and that's too big a task. I'm not going to sift through that. So I suppose it is. There's.
And then they go to a cloud somewhere,
like
a cloud,
and then it gets hacked, and someone has them all, and they're sifting through your pictures of being on holiday.
Richard Prince is there making his Instagram pictures.
It's that does scare me. Yeah. Tarkovsky, I wanted to talk about at some point, because.
Because I mentioned him.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like he's really important in regards to my vision of you, but that's only because I've made that. So I don't know if that's.
And I've made it as well by talking about him as well.
It's came up a couple of times, but I don't really. Why? Don't really know if there needs to be anything said about it.
I think I've got an idea about him similar to Ballard. Okay. Where there's this kind of world that they both create and seem to inhabit that I'm really drawn to, and it's an atmosphere, and it definitely connects to my pre-aesthetic. And it's work. Like, this is where I still divide myself, because that work, sometimes I just want to make I want to make a drawing similar to the stairs, where it's just kind of reduced something down to its simplest forms, and I know that I can do that, and it's satisfying, and it's satisfying.
And it's almost manageable, right? It's like if it's in this box, and I can hew it and make it this thing that I want. Yeah, control.
And it's quiet, and and then I think, well, and maybe there's something that came from the landscape of Tarkovsky, and also the kind of heat of Ballard in Drowned World, maybe in particular, which he talks about. But I think these are all interests, and maybe I get my really strong interests confused with making work as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'm really interested in architecture. I'm really interested in kind of this post-apocalyptic vision that Ballard writes about in High Rise. But I don't. Previously, I would have thought I have to make work about that because I make work about architecture. Yeah. It's like now I don't necessarily need to feel like I make work about architecture. No.
that must be really stupid, right? No, not at all. Not like I can thoroughly identify. Like that must feel really freeing though. Like in that you don't,
But also, I'm trying to be highbrow. Maybe I'm trying to be highbrow by making these references, and maybe or I'm adhering to what I kind of strive to be as an accepted art language. So I'll make these. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. That's really interesting.
So I make these references to fit into that. But then maybe I'm not doing myself justice there because they're important influences as well.
Yeah.
But that's making it sound very worldly and kind of.
Well, no, not at all. But like that, it is that sort of. That's almost getting too far back into the language of like how people see you, it's maybe dangerous.
Yeah, it is definitely.
You must find that it's not a way of thinking that ever just completely disappears. Yeah.
I think.
But that's also very healthy that what you said about like I don't need to make work about them. I can if I want, but I don't need to have that unhealthy urge of be like, oh, I need to live in that, and I need to, everything I do needs to go through that because then I've consumed it in a way almost But
maybe also when I'm being really critical of myself, I think, well, I'm not a novelist and I'm not a filmmaker, and they're the two things that I really, really want to be. I don't care about being an artist or a teacher for that matter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or as we'll revisit the black hip hop.
But that's getting into future bias.
Yeah, it is totally.
Yeah, I want to be this person. Yeah. Grass is always greener.
Yeah.
Is that being a teacher?
Oh, that's what we want. Did you see those works actually? I don't know if I Want to Be You.
No.
Because these are like work about that actually.
Right.
And they're a series of works. Sorry, I'm going to talk again.
No, go. Right? Yeah, please. Oh no, I did. Sorry. Yeah.
So these are like exhibitions that I've never been in, but they're posters for I involve other people. So actually, this one was this is like a parody of or a copy. I don't know if it's a parody. Of a Kippenberger poster.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's exactly the same. Except it's me in the picture. And this is one I did with Lindsay Mann. So I've actually got a list of posters to make. So I asked. It felt really egotistical and egocentric as well. So maybe I kind of erred away from this a wee bit. But I've asked other people to create my art history because I just don't. I went through a huge period of not being interested in showing work, and also. So I have if you look at my CV, it's quite empty in places. So I wanted to
Right.
But then they went to town, and Dougal gave me a show in 1978, and I'm like, well, all right, I'll go with that. But I wasn't actually alive. Well, I was alive, obviously, but I wasn't.
You weren't producing.
I wasn't really old enough to be making work.
No, that's amazing.
So, yeah,
Hugh. I don't think that's right. They're quite, or they're closer to the stuff that you're doing just now, or the stuff that you showed me the other week with the Photoshop collages.
Yeah, definitely, and that links to the posters that we do for Project Wakaka as well.
Can we speak about both of them? Can we speak about Wakaka and what you're doing at the moment? Or would you rather not speak about what you're doing at the moment?
No, that'd be fine, okay? But are you sure you're okay for time?
Yeah, of course. I have as much time as you have. Like if you, it's 25 to 7.
Yeah, I might need to stop by 7.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, of course, right? Absolutely.
So, shall I show you the new work?
Yeah, please.
Did I show you them all?
I saw the Adidas plant.
Yeah.
I think that was the only one that I saw.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh no, I can't get onto the internet. No, I don't need to get onto the internet.
I've got a Wi-Fi password.
No, they're just here. They're not even on the internet.
Okay.
This is wallpaper, actually.
Yeah.
So we're going to wallpaper. Well.
Oh, nice.
It might not have the smiley faces in it because they're a bit obvious, but they're like turkey Twizzlers, and this one's like that meat that looks like a bear.
Oh, that ham stuff.
Yeah. And they're
I like that you called it meat and not ham because it's not ham, is it?
No. Meat stuff. So I think we're going to wallpaper one wall with that.
Really?
And then, yeah, but not. We're just going to do A0 copies.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
That'd be extortionate.
Yeah, because it's really expensive to get done. So that's the one that we looked at. Okay. And again, I suppose it's reflecting back on that, what I've spoken about already, that kind of sort of perceived division of myself when I was at art college, and that kind of those years of really not being able to quite match up my like holidays in Tuscany and to my like.
So they're autobiographical.
Yeah,
totally. They're lovely. Like that's
they are completely autobiographical.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's great. Like,
but then like making like. These like grand references to consumerism and my problems with that, but then at the same time, like the Evian water is like feeding my Adidas. I don't know what the Greyhound is. It's just because I really like them.
It's doing its job.
And that's the Pile of Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is this is Saturnia, so that's like what the show's called.
Okay.
Saturnia was this place that supposedly was made. When Saturn sent down a bolt of lightning because he was really angry with everyone's behaviour on Earth, because I think it was to do specifically with war and fighting and maybe greed. And so what happened was he sent down this bolt of lightning, and then what appeared was these thermal baths that people mellowed out in. So you just go and sit there, and the world was fixed.
Everything was fine. Oh, a lovely thought.
Which, like, and then I was thinking, I got it confused with Saturnalia, which is like this really hedonistic festival that our Christmas comes from, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saturnalia, which is also a celebration of Saturn, but a different type. So I was like interested in the kind of polarity between this moral judgment and then this kind of indulgent thing, which I could kind of connect to myself as well, making these moral judgments, but at the same time, really, like, I hate that word aspiration, but really wanting the expensive stuff.
Yeah.
So these are like all really expensive perfumes that I made into a cityscape.
I was going to ask, Kylie.
And then I wanted a picture of a charging bull coming out the pram, and I got this one, and it turns out, I just looked on Amazon, like, for a gift, and it's a wee statue. But this is a model of a charging bull in New York, it turns out, which is a piece of work that is an intervention that I didn't know about. Oh. So this piece of work is life-size, like bull life-size, and was placed on Wall Street to comment on the kind of hideousness of, the
horrible
commodity.
Economic. Yeah.
So I thought that works out.
Yeah, definitely. What's the brolly?
Just like those cocktail umbrellas.
Okay.
Just because I really like them.
Yeah, they're lovely.
So the water runs through them as well. So
of course.
And then this one's the one I showed you.
Yeah, that's the one that I'd seen.
The black bath, and me looking at like, I must have like Moroccan tiles in our new bathroom. That's really important. And I'll just like slump my towel over the side and look like that. You know what I mean? Like that really hideous kind of desire to embody what I see. And
do you worry about that? I really
worry about it.
Dedicate a lot of headspace to feeling like a bad person. So, but there's an argument, like, there's a train of thought where that's like that you're sort of, by being aware enough to worry about it, you're earning it almost. Yeah. It's like, I've felt, I've made a culprit and I felt bad enough about that, so I can own it next.
Yeah, by making this, I have no problem now with getting the Moroccan tiles and putting them in my bathroom, because this is like, really, I don't know about this work. I really like the way they look.
They're lovely. They're very.
I really enjoy making them, and they fit into that in between time as well. So I'll sit in bed.
Okay, yeah.
And
How do you imagine displaying them? Like, because they're like thoroughly digital. Like,
yeah, I know.
You know.
Well, I'm going to print them.
Are you?
I'm going to see what they look like printed. Yeah. But the other thing, I thought they could become animated. Almost.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The water could become animated in them. But I think what I'll do is I'll print them, and I think they'll go on this wall. So it's a really
right. Okay.
Well, I'm saying that, but the show, there's also 3 other people in the show.
Is it really?
So
where about is it?
It's going to be in the studio.
Oh right. Okay.
So yeah, part of the annuale, and I think Casey's going to make like a lightning bolt that hits the floor, and then. Well, I don't know what Chris is doing. He was talking about making a film with the kids, and also making, there's the Goya painting of Saturn devouring his children.
Yeah.
So Chris is going to make bread children with like bloody innards
that
he wants people to eat.
Oh wow!
So,
that's amazing. That's intense.
I know. Yeah.
Ah.
So he said, we were talking about that today. So this is quite normal for us to have a conversation about like how we're going to make the bread boy, and I'll be like, I don't know how to do the guts, and then yeah.
That's fantastic though. Yeah. I can't remember who it was. Someone the other week said like, "Oh, you and Hayley must be amazing because you're both artists and you must just." Always talk about, you always must just be always in that place where you're getting into real. And I'm like, well, yeah, I suppose, but it's sort of worse almost because, like, we probably get so far and so deep into something that, like, it's actually not very healthy or helpful to either of us. You find yourself at a point where it's almost like we're just sort of both hurting this. You're taking the joy out of it almost.
Well, yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I sounded really negative. I think it might have been Jennie Temple, actually. And she was just like, oh, it must be lovely. And I went on for about 10 minutes about how we're really crap for each other artistically. And I'm like, it's not what you wanted, is it? You just wanted it's good, it's great, we draw and stuff. Well, that was the other thing. Where being a teacher, being in that like that educational environment and having these it's not kids, but having these students, like, how does that affect you? Does that affect you, or do you try and
that's where my worry.
It?
That's where my anxiety is now. I think because I used to worry about not being. Maybe this connects actually as well. I used to worry about not being good at making work, and people being worried that I wasn't good at making work.
Having like a responsibility to be brilliant, like these students were. Yeah.
But now I'm like really want to be a really good teacher, but a lot of the time I feel like I'm not, and I'm tired, and I'm really, and there's practicalities, and I'm really aware of the position I'm in and the kind of privilege of it, apart from anything else.
Well,
it's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love it, but I think the balance has got to be right. And just now, I do too much teaching and not enough time away, or too much in work and not enough time away. It's been nigh on
impossible to consistently get that balance right, though, right? Like it must be really difficult.
No, it's really hard, but it really influences me as well, and really is.
Is it one of these things? It must be like, not as huge, but it must be as it must be as relevant as becoming a mum in terms of like how it relates to you as an artistic entity. Like because it is close enough and it's so relevant and important. Like, do you wonder about that, or does it? Do you just not have to think about it in that way? Do you not like? I don't know what I'm saying. Because the what you're telling these students to do, or what the sort of the information or the advice that you're giving them, like I felt a little bit like a fraud sometimes doing the residency and like telling them think about it and or don't close yourself off to other stuff too early, and I'm like I'm fucking doing that, like I'm not taking my own advice here.
Okay. Yeah, quite often that's exactly the case. That I'll be, and I've maybe that's changed as well. Actually, Neil, now that you mention it, maybe I'm less since I felt a bit freer with making work, or I'm making work and I'm productive. I felt less like I'm using my creative energy with them, because I felt before I did feel like I couldn't do anything because a lot of it was coming out.
I'm spent by the end by 4 o'clock. Yeah, that's understandable.
So maybe I'm just doing less good teaching.
There's maybe also a level of like, without sounding arrogant, you've sort of just by experience, you've maybe earned the right to not necessarily have to take all your advice because you're 15 years, 20 years from where they are as a student, right? So it's not necessarily a case of like, it's one rule for everybody. Yeah. It's the opposite of that, right? Yeah.
But it always surprises me how, like, what I get out of it. It's amazing. Yeah. Like, what I learn and what I... And one of the things that I have to remember is that it's okay to tell students that I don't know, because I think one of the things that really impacted on me was I just thought my lecturers knew everything, and that was
they're like a new parent, right? They're like you're a perfect individual who knows exactly what they're doing.
But they didn't let on that they didn't. Yeah. So I really make a point of saying I don't know, or I don't know what you're talking about.
And that just becomes like cyclical bad behaviour, right? Like, because if you become that, then you do the same thing, because you're like, I don't want to appear fallible. I need to be this huge entity. Yeah. And if anything, it's quite the opposite. It's quite...
Do you think these are the worst trainers in the world? I don't even think they're trainers, right?
Nah, they're heels, man. Yeah. What are they... Are they real? Like, have Nike made these?
Yeah, I googled worst trainers ever, and this came up. Worst trainers ever made, high-heeled Nike red gloss. I wonder if they're 90s. I don't know.
I know that Nike do a line of like wedge trainers, like Nike Air Max, like or like high tops that I'm like, because I used to sit on like Shoe or Office, and like I'm looking for new trainers, and like I would never filter by gender. I would always forget, and so I end up with like 5 tabs of nice trainers, and I'm like, oh Christ, they've all got like a built-in wedge.
Yeah, but why can girls not wear like really good?
Well, that's. Or a lot of the Nike high tops that I liked are nice and didn't have a wedge, but they were girl trainers, and I don't understand what the. Yeah. So just like less, is there not as they narrower or like and just different? Obviously,
apparently the sizing is like slightly different, but I've never noticed because I normally wear boys trainers,
right?
Because they're better.
It feels like it should be a two-way street. I should just. And I suppose I am. No one's stopping me. But
get some.
But I've got massive feet. I'm like a size 11.
Oh yeah, you.
I don't know if I'd get good girl trainers. No,
they'd have to be special.
I'd need to go to like Big and Tall or something. Well, I'm gonna stop because it's 10 to 7, and I don't want to keep you. Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed that.
It's been great.
Stop your running around.
Right.
It's time to straighten right out.
Rude boy.
Stop your running around, making trouble every day. Rudy. A message to you, Rudy.
How you mean?
A message to you.
Well, exclusively. Tell about it. Rude boy, you got to live it up as I will tell it to you. You got to shake your shoulder, hit me back one time, boom shot. Until you say you got to skank it to me 2 times. Rude boy,
you're growing older each day. You want to think of the future.
How you